Part 1. What water should I drink? Should I drink tap water, reverse osmosis water, spring water, alkaline water, water filtered with a Brita or Berkeley filter, or bottled water? How about mineral water like Perrier, Gerolsteiner, Pellegrino? So in this episode, I want you to understand the problems with different water sources, their effects on how you feel and your health, and a solution that is very cheap and an easy way to get clean, pure water so that you feel better, so that you look better, and perform at your best. So let's start with the problems. Let's start with tap water. Tap water is disgusting because I'm going to link a number of sources and news, just general, regular news that I guess they're hiding, but it shows even the government finds trace amounts of drugs like birth control pills, estrogen, schizophrenia, bipolar medication, Adderall, birth control, and other chemicals, even feces, which is shit, in the water, and heavy metals in trace amounts, but they're still in the water, the tap water that people drink. So why are all these medications in the water? Well, let's say a girl takes birth control, a lot of girls do, and takes a piss. That piss becomes part of the water supply, which is then filtered, and the birth control medications just make it through in trace amounts into the tap water. Do you not think that these chemicals are causing a lot of the health problems and common sicknesses that people routinely have? Do you not think that these substances are causing the feminization of men? These estrogen-like substances are causing the feminization of men. So just don't drink tap water. Let's talk about bottled water. Most bottled water is basically spring water that's in a bottle. Not all, but most. There are two issues with bottled water. One is, if they come in plastic, then understand you're probably heard of BPA, bisphenol A, which is a substance in plastic that has a molecular structure similar to estrogen, the female hormone. You'll notice sometimes water in a bottle is slightly sweet to the taste. That's actually what BPA tastes like. If water remains any length of time in plastic bottles, plus it's subjected to any kind of heat, then the BPA gets into the water. Again, you're drinking estrogen, and especially for men, it might be a big issue. Again, feminizing men. For women, exogenous, which is external estrogen, is never a good idea because you'll just compound any hormonal issues that you already have. Those hot flashes, or, your period coming early or late, or missing your period. So just don't drink water that is stored in plastic bottles. And if a bottle is BPA free, then realize they're just using a different molecule, like not BPA, but BPS, and a whole bunch of other ones found in plastic, which also cause the same estrogen-like effects. Just because something is BPA free, it really means nothing. So stop drinking plastic. The second issue with spring water now is, depending on the source, some water has a high amount of minerals. You may think these minerals are good, but essentially minerals in water are crushed rocks that wash into the water. And so when you consume these minerals in the form of rocks, your body can't completely digest them. They're inorganic minerals. They're actually good in small amounts, but there's just too much in these waters. And you may find, especially with some of these high calcium containing waters, this calcium is not used well by your body and starts to deposit in your joints, in your soft tissue muscles, and various areas like your bladder. So you start to get body stiffness. You can't really stretch as you used to. You feel a little older, and this is something you can read more about. It's called calcification. So limit the amount of spring water you consume. How about mineral water like Pellegrino, Perrier, Gerolsteiner, and the rest of the fizzy waters? These also have two distinct problems associated with them. The first is, if you look at regular spring water, you'll find the amount of minerals in it to be in the measure of about 50 to 200 parts per billion, I think, or per million, ppm per million. That's just a measurement of how many rocks basically are in your water. What is the concentration of rocks in your water? With mineral water, you're getting about 600 to 1,000 parts per million of these rocks. That's like 3 times if I can do math. Up to 5 times. So you're amplifying the effects of this calcification and stiffening up of your body. So limit the amount of high mineral waters. Now, you may be thinking minerals are good, and they are, but again, not in these forms. The rock forms. The second problem, and this is actually a larger problem with soda and any kind of fizzy water, is that the fizz comes from the molecule carbonate. Whenever you drink or consume carbonate, what it does is buffer or neutralize the acids in your stomach. And this is important because your stomach should be extremely acidic. So much so that if you ate a piece of metal, it would liquefy. Your stomach should be at a pH, which is a measure of how strong an acid is, a pH of between, I think it's 1.5 to 3.5. That is extremely acidic. Ideally 2 to 3 or closer to 2. So anytime you consume carbonate from any fizzy drinks, for example, you lower the strength of acid in the stomach. I mean, and you might be wondering, so what? What is the use of this? Well, stomach acid is the only way you're going to be able to digest the proteins that you eat. The proteins that you eat, the meat, and the various minerals that you get from the food you eat, and the nutrients. So no acid means you're eating food that you just poop out without extracting a sufficient amount of nutrients from it. So you might find that you're always hungry. That's probably one reason why you're eating, but you're not getting the stuff you need from the food. So you're wasting your time eating good stuff and taking great supplements and proteins if you've got weak stomach acid. So limit your consumption of fizzy drinks. Now, I'll admit I love Pellegrino with some lemon or lime in it. So if you want to drink some, go ahead, but do it at least 2 hours away from food, especially meats or proteins. We're going to get to the solution. If you've made it this far, you're doing well for yourself. Alkaline water. The hippie water. Alkalinity is basically water that has a high pH. So like carbonate, alkaline water will decrease the strength of your stomach acid in the same way. And as I've explained, you're going to have issues digesting protein, minerals, and any other foods with a weak stomach acid. So it's kind of like the same issue. In addition, when you have weak stomach acid, anytime bacteria enters your mouth through food, maybe touching your face, kissing someone, or any other way, really, you can't prevent bacteria from entering your mouth since you have weak stomach acid. Sometimes the acid is not strong enough to kill the bacteria and pathogens entering your system, so these things grow and flourish in your stomach, making it your small intestine, your stomach. Like H. pylori is a bacteria everyone knows of. That one lives in the stomach, and making it to your small intestine. Like SIBO, you've probably heard of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And there are others, really. And these cause a lot of problems, which I'll touch on in another episode. So we've gone over a lot of water sources. Let's start getting to the solution. You've probably heard of reverse osmosis water. That is basically pure water. It is water stripped of everything. This water runs through a filter, a system which removes any and every kind of anything in it. It removes minerals, all the substances like drugs in the water, any heavy metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, and other metals that are nearly always found in most water sources, even in trace amounts. Reverse osmosis takes care of all of this. Plus, they run it through an ultraviolet filter to kill any bacteria, which is usually not removed by these filters, unless you put an ultraviolet filter or something else like that. So the issue with reverse osmosis water is twofold. One, there are no more minerals in it. So, although we talked about how these forms of minerals are not the best for you, they're still good in small amounts. Your body can extract some use, and you'd rather get some rocks than no minerals at all, because your body works like a battery. It needs these minerals to transmit signals. But you can get through this issue with reverse osmosis water with remineralizing the water using a few supplements that I will talk about in the future. Supplements that have minerals that your body can easily recognize and use instead of deposit them in places they shouldn't be. The second issue is that reverse osmosis water is expensive. The system requires some work to install under your sink. So if you have the time and money, just put in the investment. But if it's too much work and money, then I'm going to talk to you about an easy and cheap solution that does not require any of this. So what is the solution? What is a cheap, easy source of pure water? There's something called the zero water filter. You can actually find this at Walmart and many other places. They're about $20 to $30 and they last forever. The filters cost about $10 to $15 a month, and essentially they're pitchers, just like a Brita filter, but the difference is in the technology that they use in their filters. I'm not going to go over the technical details, but the filters work just as well as the $700, $1,000 reverse osmosis system under your sink. As a matter of fact, their pitchers come with an electronic pen that you stick into the water, and it tells you how many parts per million of stuff that is in the water. You want to know what you're drinking. And the pitchers bring the water down to complete purity, which is 0 parts per million. So this means you can have reverse osmosis quality like water that is pure for the price of just replacing a cheap filter once a month. Again, there's a few things you need to do to this water once you filter it, but I'll talk about this in another video. So go online or to Walmart, search for zero water filters, and just get yourself one so you can stop consuming drugs, garbage, metals, estrogen compounds, and other things that are just slowly making you sick, slowly giving you the common cold, or feminizing you, giving you man boobs if you're a man, or any other issues really. You'll be surprised by how good you feel. In a future episode, I will talk about how to store this water, how to remineralize it, and what else you can do with it. Again, this is about $20. It's a $30, $40 for the system, the pitcher, $10 to $20 for a filter. And I really encourage you to get and replace that piece of garbage Brita filter that you might have, or even Berkeley. If it doesn't bring down the water to 0 parts per million and removes fluoride completely, then consider the zero water filter. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or send me a direct message. I'm happy to help you.